Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside two-time Super Bowl champ, the linebacker Jonathan Casillas, and Super Bowl champion wide receiver Amani Toomer. Another tough loss for the Giants in Week 5 as they head down to Miami and fall to the Dolphins 31-16. Of course, the big news coming out of the game, though, Daniel Jones leaving the game late with a neck injury, what the Giants are calling a neck injury. Tyrod Taylor was able to get in and finish the game off under center, but of course significant because DJ missed 6 games back in 2021 with a neck injury. You always want to monitor that, but you know, watching the way that Tyrod was able to command this offense late in the stretch, puts him in good hands. Yeah,
Tyrod has excellent experience in the NFL. He's won a lot of games, and he's a very knowledgeable quarterback who Daniel has been learning from. So it's good to have that steady backup to come in and give your offense a little bit of a boost when Daniel Jones go down.
Yeah, and you start to see what this offense is supposed to look like. You look at Tyrod Taylor, and you look at how quickly he gets rid of the football, and he seemed to be spraying the ball a little bit around, getting a couple of catches to Darren Waller, just opening up the offense a little bit, get a different look. To get a different kind of image of what this offense could be like.
Absolutely, and of course, you know, the offense did struggle today. The defense was the strength of this team, and defensive coordinator Wink Martindale talked about this week about facing this Miami Dolphins team, the speed that they have, the versatility and options that they have on offense, comparing them to the greatest show on turf and saying, you know what, don't worry, I've been sleeping like a baby all week, waking up every 2 hours crying, going to the bathroom, then trying to get back to sleep. It's tough to prepare to face the Miami Dolphins, and we saw why for so many reasons, but still the defense was able to capitalize. They got 3 takeaways coming into this game without a single takeaway on the season, and 2 of them did result in scores, including a 102-yard pick 6 by Jason Pinnock, Jonathan.
Yeah, and that was the recipe. We all knew that the Giants needed to take the ball away against this explosive offense, and they did. Not only did they do that, they scored a defensive touchdown. And you already know that when you score a defensive touchdown, that means you're probably going to win the game. Yeah. But failed opportunities on the offense, again, 0 touchdowns from the offensive side of the ball, gets you this score at the end of the game. And look, the Giants need to be better on offense. We've been saying that all year, and we thought it would be for the spark that the defense provided today. Yeah. But again, they came up short. Yeah,
they need to get that short field to get everything going, get the motion. But you got to look at what the Giants did in the first half. They controlled the ball. They kept the Miami explosive offense off the field, and they were in position to win. A couple turnovers, a couple inopportune missed tackles and things like that. The game kind of got away, but in terms of what we expected and what we got today out of this Giants team, the performance wasn't great, but it was kind of on the par of what we thought was going to happen today. But you're looking at this team, and they seem to still be fighting. They seem to be working to try and figure out this whole thing, and hopefully, you know, they'll learn from this and they'll get better. Because this is not the type of effort that we expect from this team.
Absolutely. I mean, that 102-yard pick 6 from Jason Pinnock to tie a franchise record for a long right there. That was an incredible play. The fact that he was able to outrun this Miami Dolphins team, which is known for their speed, was incredible. And the momentum. This is the first time the Giants this season have scored a touchdown in the first half, even if it did come on the defensive side of the ball. And it puts them into the halftime. It puts them into halftime just down 7, and it's a manageable game. Of course, they had another takeaway. Bobby Okereke came up with an interception in the second half as well, but it just wasn't enough. Things weren't clicking on the offensive side of the ball, and we talk about complementary football, defense translating to offense, translating to defense. How does this team right that ship? I mean, being outgained, the Miami Dolphins putting up 524 total yards of offense, that's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we all knew that this Miami Dolphins offense is explosive. I mean, they posted another fastest time today with A-Chain, and then Tyreek Hill breaking long runs down the field. But the Giants just have to capitalize when your defense plays as, I think, as opportunistic as they played today with getting the ball out. You know, making Tua, I feel like making bad plays. Tua, I don't think had a great game today. Those 2 interceptions that he threw were not good passes, and the defense capitalized. But the offense has to make you pay, and they're just not doing it. And I think, look, along the offensive line, we've seen guys going down left and right, and a lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties, and they have to be better because their offense cannot do anything without their offensive line playing better. And we got to have a better effort moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I was looking at coming into the game was this turnover battle. They won the turnover battle, but still lost the game. You know, you got to look, and when you're in a situation like this, I've been on many teams that have just been outmatched in certain areas. And when you approach the next game, after the next game, you got to look for a little bit of area where you can improve upon. The fact that there was no turnovers, the fact that you look at Darren Waller catching, getting a lot of opportunities, 8 catches for 86 yards. Those are things you can build upon. Those are like things that you can look to the next week and say, we at least got better at this, and then keep on building on those small successes, because this is going to be a tough season as you see these losses start piling up. You got to have some sort of focus to keep you motivated through the rest of this season.
Yeah, that is a point that we made last week on this post-game show, is we want to see Darren Waller getting more involved. We did see that this week. We saw the Giants defense getting some takeaways. There are points of growth. How do we translate that for wins for this team? That remains to be seen. All right, Giants fans, guests of the post-game show receive a gift certificate to Ben & Jack's, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, Ben & Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. We are just getting started here on Giants Post-Game Live. After the break, we're going to hear from Giants head coach Brian Daboll. He'll speak to the media after the Giants' 31-16 loss to the Dolphins. That and more on Giants Post-Game Live, presented by Moderna. Hey, Giants fans, subscribe to the Giants Podcast Network for a variety of team podcasts featuring conversations with Giants players, coaches, fans, and legends, plus NFL analysts, business professionals, influencers, and more. Available on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and Google. It's the Giants official podcast network. Welcome back to Giants Post-Game Live, presented by Moderna. Madelyn Burke, Jonathan Casillas, and Amani Toomer in studio after the Giants fall to the Dolphins 31-16. Of course, we're talking quite a bit about the defense of this team, which has been the strength in this game. Wink Martindale talking about how much of a challenge this would be all week, and it was absolutely a challenge. Kayvon Thibodeau coming up with his 4th sack of the season, matching the total he had in his rookie year last year. But one of the things that really stood out about the way the Giants defense played today is that they really went with more of a zone defense, and Wink Martindale's defense usually is more of a man-to-man favored coverage. Casillas, how would you describe the areas in which we saw that succeed and maybe not so much?
Yeah, I think when you seen Tua throw those couple interceptions that he threw, I think that was more of the zone eyes, and it were guys that were in position, and it wasn't the offensive guys, it was the defensive guys, because they were watching Tua and they got in position instead of the offensive guys. And then the one time when we saw Hawkins matched up one-on-one, man-to-man coverage, and they only rushed 3, I think that it's all about timing. You have to time the blitzes. You have to time the man-to-man. You have to time those zone coverages to put you in an opportunistic position to win the play. And that was just a poor time to go man-to-man with Hawkins going against the fastest receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
Give him a little help, though.
He had just sprinted across the field to get into position to start that play as well, so he was already starting a little out of gas on that one.
Yeah, it's like pick your poison. I mean, this team, you look at the Dolphins and how explosive they are with all their motions and all the way they try to exploit the defense. I mean, you look at the first drive, and it was like, most offenses put together their top 15 to kind of poke around to see what's going on and see what is going to work today. It seemed like that first drive where they went right down the field, everything kind of worked. So. Yeah. I think
they did a good job of mixing it up, though.
They did a good job of mixing it up, and they made some adjustments and slowed them down a little bit, but there was just the onslaught was just too much for them.
This is what makes the Miami offense so hard, because they love to run the football. Yes, they're an explosive team, but they're a physical team. Mostert, the touchdown run, he ran hard, and he came right at Xavier McKinney.
So you can't play coverage, is what you're saying. You can't just sit back and play coverage, because they'll beat you at the line of scrimmage.
You have to play physical football. You have to be able to, not load the box up, but you have to be able to have a light box, maybe 6 or 7 man front, and be able to stop the run with that. And the Giants couldn't do it. A-Chain is the most explosive running back in the NFL. He averaged 15 yards a carry today at running back, coming in averaging 11 on the ground. You have to have a good game against the run with Miami. That will help you stifle them a little bit, like we saw from Buffalo last week.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, an above average running back in the NFL will average 4 yards per carry. He averaged 11 today. So that just shows you the dominance and how hard of a task that this defense had in store for them today. And, 31 points, it looks like a lot, but I mean, you look at the way that the Giants defense fought for the entire game, you got to give them, I mean, I don't know if you can give them credit for giving up 31 points, but you got to give them something.
Though. They got
one.
They got
three turnovers.
Three takeaways. The first time since week 4 of 2022 against Chicago, the Giants have had 3 or more takeaways. It's something they had been focusing on. It was a point of emphasis, and they got that today against Miami. But 222 rushing yards for the Dolphins. That's a tough one to go against. All right, we are going to take a quick timeout here on Giants Postgame Live. But Giants fans, make sure you're at MetLife Stadium for the next home game on October 22nd. It's 1 p.m. against the Washington Commanders. Limited individual tickets are available. Visit giants.com/tickets to secure your seat today. After the break, we'll hear from Giants head coach and much more on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna, recapping the Giants' 31-16 loss to the Dolphins. As we take a look at Miami, where the Giants went down to face the Dolphins in Week 5, falling 31-16 to the Miami Dolphins. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna. Let's send it down to Miami, where head coach Brian Daboll is.
Do not.
What happened? What have you got from them?
I haven't talked to the train staff yet. I think he'll be up here to talk. So meet with those guys after this.
What did you see on that play?
I got hit pretty good, but he's getting hit quite a bit.
You knew coming into this game, obviously, about their speed. Seeing it up close, did anything about it surprise you, or your inability to deal with their speed?
No, they're real fast. Took a lot of short passes for long gains. So you get explosive plays, it usually leads to points.
Before Daniel got hurt, why did you guys struggle to move the ball so much?
That takes all 11 people, so didn't do a good enough job.
How untenable is it for your quarterbacks to be getting hit so much at this point?
Yeah, you don't want that. Affecting the quarterback plays an important role in the game, and we got to figure out a way to protect them better.
Do you have the personnel on your team to protect a quarterback?
Yeah, we got to do a better job, Pat. Just all the way around.
You took Josh Zudu out at one point. What was your thinking behind that?
Yeah, put Parrott in there, bring him out, settle him down a little bit, and let Parrott play.
How close was Saquon to making it today?
He was getting closer every week. Yep.
What happened to Adoree Jackson that he wasn't on the field when he gave up the 69-yard touchdown right out of the half?
Yeah, he had a little something there, Rye, and then went with the 2 young guys, and 2 made a good play. Yeah, we had. I'm not going to go into the total in depth of it, but just didn't get it quite executed.
So Adoree had an injury of some sort of crash or something?
Yeah, I think, but I don't have him on the sheet right now. It was just that time during the game.
Banks came out at times, so what was that?
Yeah, Aziz right here says an ankle. Don't have any update for Tay.
What can you do about the offensive tackle position without Andrew coming back?
Well, we just gotta keep working with them, get them better, and that's what you try to do each week.
Is it bigger though than just the tackle position on the line?
Yeah, I'd just say overall we got to do a better job offensively, obviously. So get back to work and try to do a better job.
How do you fix the penalty of spark? You have drives that start with promise, and it just seems like they stall because either a sack or a
Yeah, it's tough to overcome those negative plays for us right now. So staying on track is really important.
Warren's Morehouse leads the hole now. Climb out of this hole.
You can only take it one day at a time. So that's what we'll try to do.
He scored a touchdown offensively in 2.5 games almost at this point. What do you even make of that?
Yeah, got to do a better job.
Did you get any sense from how Daniel was functioning as a quarterback when he was able to function?
I thought he made some good decisions, took care of the ball. We had a couple plays we could have made down the field, had opportunities on him, just didn't quite capitalize them. But he battled.
Why do you think the offensive struggles have stretched over really the first 5 games here?
Say we're not doing a good enough job.
How much of that is on you?
That's all on me. I'm the head coach. So offense, defense, kicking game.
Dave, do you see better on the practice field? And I know it's quote-unquote just the practice field, but do you see signs where you think this team's going to come out and execute and be on point, and it just doesn't happen?
Yeah, they work. I mean, we do the right stuff during the week, prepare, practice, just not quite putting it together during the game. And give, you know, Miami credit. That's a heck of a team.
Right now, I mean, what is your emotion? Is that, what, are you frustrated? What's your feeling right now?
Yeah, that we got to do better.
Is this the kind of offense
That we got to do better.
Yeah. When you're going against the Dolphins, it seemed like even when you played complimentary football, you were stressing that for weeks.
Yeah.
You play, you get the punt,
Yeah.
pin, and then
Sudden change.
2 plays, and they're down.
Get the first down, get a holding penalty, back us up. So a lot of little things. Art, you know, there were some things that were that have been better, like, you know, turnovers on defense, not turn it over on offense, but capitalizing when the defense turns it over, you know, is something you got to do. So I think it was we punted them down there, had an opportunity, got a first down, penalty backed us up. You know, instead of getting 7, you're getting 3. So all those things play into it.
Was there a concern there that Tyrod was going to have to come out of the game too?
He had the wind knocked out of him, so we were set with the play. With people in there to do it, and then he looked at me, he said he's good, but he said he needed 1, and then there was a long break, and then he said he's good to go.
Tackling was always an issue that you guys made a big deal a few weeks ago. Was this about tackling this week defensively, or more just about being out quick and out schemed?
Yeah, well, I mean, they threw a couple, you know, whether it's handed off on sweeps or toss cracks or screens where you just throw them and you got to rally to the ball, and those guys did a good job of out-angling it and, you know, making a lot of yards on it.
How are you guys handling everything that's been going on lately?
Sure. Yeah, look, you don't want to lose. You work extremely hard to put yourself in good position. So after games, it's, you know, it's certainly disappointing with all the effort that you put into it. So, you know, 24-hour rule, you get back in, you learn from the stuff, and then you got to move on. It doesn't wait around for anybody.
How do you keep frustration from not overshadowing everything and not sort of overpowering everything?
Hey, you try to build your team, you know, from the start of it. So we got a lot of good guys with the right mindset. We're not putting it together in terms of the results we're looking for. But you go out there and, you know, you get ready to play next week. Certainly disappointing to lose, but you go back, you look at the stuff, you move on, and that's what you have to do.
What made you guys think that a guy like Josh or Matt Parrott would be capable enough to handle a tackle behind you?
Yeah, no, those guys have they've worked their tails off at practice. They have a certain skill set, they got quick feet, they got some length, but, you know, it takes everybody.
A couple more.
Dave, we saw Justin Pugh at least walk through the room last week. Could he be an option? I mean, would you make changes along the line to try to get better?
Yeah, I think we'll, you know, you take a look at everything after games. You know, we'll see where he's at this week. We're just kind of acclimating him last week. Whether he's up, he's not up, I couldn't give you that answer right now, Kim.
Serious?
He has a knee right here. Again, I haven't talked to those guys yet, so.
You have a chance to talk to Daniel?
I saw him when I came in. He was sitting at his locker. I asked how he's doing. He said, "I'll be okay." That's what he said. Okay.
Right,
See you guys. Thanks.
Daniel will be in here.
That sound from head coach Brian Daboll is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants. Of course, the overarching message from the head coach is we got to do better. You know, this is at one point, at week 5 right here, he's kind of been answering the same questions week in and week out. There's not really much more you'd have to say as a head coach, correct?
Yeah, I mean, just looking for answers, you know?
Everybody is.
Yeah. And after the games, people are asking me, and I'm doing post-game, and I'm sitting there like, good question. I'm trying to figure it out too, but everybody's trying to figure it out because, you know, we've seen it from week 1 with Dallas. You know, it just, once it started, it just snowballed on them. And then we've seen it against San Fran, and we've seen it again today, where the defense put the offense in very good field position several times, scored a defensive touchdown, and that was the one thing that every single person talked about. The defense needs to play better. They need to step up. They need to create takeaways. And they did. And they still was on a lopsided end of basically a blowout.
Right. I mean, this is the defensive takeaways put the Giants in a position. They were at a 7 point halftime deficit. That's the smallest halftime deficit they've had so far this season.
Yeah, and they scored a touchdown in the first half, and the defense did that as well. So I think the defense is coming along, and they're much improved from weeks before. Now the offense and the special teams, everything got to start getting better and better. There is no answers. That's what's frustrating about this team is, like, you look at this team, they have some injuries, but they just aren't playing at that same level in terms of not making the mistakes. Today they did. Today they didn't have any turnovers, but you know, it's like you got to kind of all put it together at the same time for a team like this who's kind of devoid of talent in some areas and compared to the rest of the NFL, and some, especially compared to this Miami team. And to win games like this, everybody has to be on the same page, and that just wasn't the case today.
Was not the case today, indeed. 31-16, the final score in Miami. We'll continue to break this one down after the break, but first, Giants fans, make sure you check out the Coach Dable Show presented by Ford. We'll look back on today's game and take a look ahead at next week's matchup. It's the Coach Dable Show, airing every week on MSG Networks and on the Giants YouTube channel. After the break, Giants quarterback Daniel Jones will address the media despite leaving the game with a neck injury. That and more on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna. Welcome back to the show. Time now for our HCL Player of the Game, presented by HCL Tech, supercharging progress, the official digital transformation partner of the New York Giants. Player of the Game, of course, is Giants safety Jason Pinnock, 4 tackles, 1 pass defense, and of course, a 102-yard pick six. It ties the franchise record for the longest pick six touchdown in Giants franchise history. Let's send it down to Miami, where Jason Pinnock is speaking in the locker room.
Just trying to do what I can, play my part, and make plays when we can, get turnovers, but not only turnovers, just touchdowns, get some points on the board.
They say they come in bunches. You get 3 takeaways today. I mean, I know it's hard to look ahead, but how infectious can that be?
Like you said, they come in bunches, so now we got to keep the momentum. You know, we know what it feels like to get our hands on the ball, get turnovers, punch outs, and just get some momentum going. So hopefully it just keeps flowing into week after week after week.
Wing talked about the team speed of the Dolphins coming in. When you get them actually on the field, is it much different than what you saw on tape?
I was with the Jets, so I felt it before, not Tyreek, but yeah, no, it's fast. I mean, it's as advertised.
And so is that what makes it even more difficult when you're having to climb uphill? They get a lead, and, you know, you're just doing everything you can to get that motorcycle going after them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said it for me. So.
Jason, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That was Giants safety Jason Pinnock with our own Paul Dottino in the locker room. Dots will be getting a lot of player interviews to finish out the show. But after the break, we'll have quarterback Daniel Jones at the podium from Miami. That and more on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna. Stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 vaccines, because you've got no time for 19. Brought to you by Moderna.
I feel fine. I think certainly in some pain. Physical game, so meet with the doctors and trainers, and then go from there.
What did you feel at the time of the hit? Just your
it's just my neck, neck sore.
For the jumping on you, or the landing? What was the?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go back and look at the play, but I'll just tell you, my neck's sore.
Before, does this seem similar, or kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say for sure. Certainly dealt with a similar, issue. So, like I said, I'll meet with the doctors and trainers and go from there.
What did they tell you about it so far at this point?
I mean, not a whole lot. I think we'll know a lot more tomorrow.
You've been hit sacked 16 times in the last 2 weeks, and hit more than that. Does your body feel right now the toll of all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we played some physical games against physical defenses, and I think we all probably feel it. It's football. It's part of the game, and yeah, feeling fine.
Do you think you have a fair chance to make plays back there at this point with the way that protection's holding up?
Yeah, for sure. I think I got to do a better job getting the ball out of my hands and taking advantage of the opportunities that are there.
Do you think there are things schematically that could help you out? Like the Dolphins have a bunch of dudes up front. They're kind of getting the ball out to guys in space. Do you think there are things that you guys can do schematically similarly to help you?
I think we had a good game plan, and you know, we got to execute it better. We're focused on us, and we'll watch the film, see what we can clean up, and then go from there.
How much are sacks and penalties killing this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, we got to avoid hurting ourselves. I think, you know, that falls on all of us. You know, kind of all those things that are push us back and get us in, you know, longer yardage situations, make it tough. But it's on all of us to do it better, to execute better, and we got to be more consistent.
Did you get a scan tomorrow?
Yeah. Yep.
And how concerned are you about this? I mean, this kept you out, you know, for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say now. I just, you know, meet with doctors and trainers and then go from there.
Did you have any imaging done already today?
Yeah, an X-ray.
What would it come back?
We're still looking at it, but yeah, I think we'll meet on it tomorrow and go from there.
As Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, who went 14 for 20 for 119 yards today before leaving the game in the fourth quarter with a neck injury. Of course, we heard him talking to the media saying he did have an X-ray, awaiting results from that X-ray, and of course, further medical tests. Coach Stable did say DJ told him he'll be okay. Of course, you know Daniel Jones is the type of player who wants to play, who wants to be out there for his team, but he also did miss 6 games back in 2021 with a neck injury, so this is something that they will be monitoring, and of course, the medical staff will be making sure to put the player and the team in the best possible position.
Daniel Jones, you can't question his toughness, mentally and physically. I just hate that we got to put it on display every single game. You know, we don't want to prove that you're the toughest quarterback every single play. You know, and I think he has to do a better job in protecting himself. You know, sometimes the offensive line is not protecting him as they should, you know, and protecting him as, you know, as a unit will protect the quarterback. And he has to do a better job, I think, when he leaves the pocket and protecting himself and sliding. And then sometimes he just takes unnecessary shots, whether it's running towards a sideline or whether it's taking a sack, because he's that tough. You know, and sometimes when you're tough, you're a little bit too tough for your own good.
And you never know, like, when that one hit, if you take on all these unnecessary hits, you never know when that one hit is going to be the one that puts you out for a couple weeks. And we all know that this Giant team needs him. He's the leader of this team, and without him, I think our team, the Giants, would be a lot worse off, even though Tyrod Taylor knows the offense well. In terms of just the whole overall theme of the team and the mode of the team, I just feel like he's the guy that we definitely need.
Absolutely. Of course, Daniel Jones, a big part of this offense. So is tight end Darren Waller, who got much more involved in the game today. Let's sit it down to the locker room where he is speaking as well.
Getting back to the game, how tough was it to see your quarterback go down today?
Tough, man. I mean, we love him to death, and to see any of your brothers go down is not a good feeling. Football is a violent game, and I don't think people take into account if you make it healthy out of it in any game, it's a blessing, you know. So just praying that it's nothing serious with him and that we can get him back as soon as possible.
Especially when you see how tough he is. I mean, you've only been here a short time, but you know how tough Daniel is.
Extremely tough. I don't know if I've been around anybody as tough as him that just gets up and keeps going and isn't fazed by the amount of hits that he takes.
Darren, you go into a game knowing it's going to be a tough opponent because they can score a lot. The defense gets 3 turnovers, and you only convert them to 10 points.
Right.
That's got to be something that kind of hamstrings you.
Yeah, that's unacceptable, especially like you said, it's a very good football team. One of the hottest teams in the league, and they're usually striking hidden plays. And like you said, defense gave us opportunities, and as an offense, the results that came from that is unacceptable.
We have another game here, and you have to continue to climb uphill where the other team has constantly got the lead. How much does that wear on you mentally and emotionally, besides physically and on the scoreboard?
It can be tough. It's tough to have that balanced rhythm, you know, because sometimes you may feel like, all right, we got to, like, you know, hurry up or, you know, get down the field as quick as possible by throwing, and it's like you can't have the run pass balance that you may want because it's like, okay, like we gotta climb, we gotta do something different. But yeah, it affects your rhythm and your pace as an offense.
So how difficult is it to maintain positivity or even an even keel with what has happened now this far this season?
Very difficult. It's easy for people to point fingers and blame at this point. It's easy for people to be like, or, you know, whatever comes to their mind. But yeah, it's hard to stay the course. It's hard to maintain a positive attitude. It's hard to
pick guys up when and when everybody's just kind of figuring out what's going on. You know, it's difficult. So, but we do hard things.
Darren, thanks for your time.
Yes, sir.
Darren Waller with our Paul Dottino out in the locker room in Miami. 8 receptions for 86 yards, 21-yard long, of course, 11 targets today. You know, Waller saying to Paul Dottino, it's hard to stay the course. It's hard to maintain that positive energy. But, Amani, this is a guy that you've been calling for to get more involved in the offense. And we saw today, Darren Waller got more involved in the offense, a point of growth.
Absolutely. And 11 targets, I really like that. He's a very explosive player. I want to see him more. The 21-yard gain, he got up and he finally started to show a little bit of when he did the first down sign. I just started to see his juices flowing, and I feel like he could be one of the answers, one of the keys to taking this offense to an entirely different level with his ability to break open games, give Daniel Jones an opportunity to throw the ball, short passes right over the middle. And you all know how well Daniel Jones does with tight ends. Now he has a great one, and let's see this relationship really start to unfold and open up the rest of the offense.
Yeah, let's see if that transfers over to next week. Let it carry over to next week. I love that they're trying to involve Darren Waller into the passing game, but I want more from him.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a couple catches where he should have made and could have made because he's that good of a player.
Yeah.
You know, and when you have a guy and you're going to feature him as much as they will, I think Darren Waller should come up with those passes that hit his hands. You know how it is.
Yeah.
When it touches your hands, you got to catch it. And when you're that good, I don't care who's defending you, you got to bring that ball down. I just think that the Giants need their big-time players to play even more big-time. Yes, he had a pretty good game, but he needs to put together a great game because of the struggles throughout the offensive line and the run game. Darren Waller's been playing well, but we need for him to play even better.
Yeah, him and Jalen Hyatt, another receiver that I want to see more from, getting him involved in the offense, his growth and maturation process. So there's a lot of players that just haven't been really able to show what they can do quite yet. A lot of that has to do with the fact that our line is struggling. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we're just not getting the drives together. So there's players that are going to develop that we need to just be a little bit patient with.
Absolutely, and with Darren Waller's success, quick shout out to his wife, Kelsey Plum. Her and the Las Vegas Aces are facing the New York Liberty in the WNBA Finals, Game 1 today as well. So lots of athletic activity in that family. All right, we've got more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. But first, Giants fans, subscribe to text alerts for breaking news, ticket offers, game day updates, and more. Just scan the QR code on your screen or text 201-636-1569 to subscribe. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live as we recap the Giants-Dolphins game in Week 5. We're presented by Moderna. Be right back.
Bobby, we knew that Miami had great team speed. We all talked about it during the week.
Yeah.
When you get on the field against them, how different is it than what you see on tape?
It's not that different at all. I mean, it's real deal speed. And I think that was a deciding factor. You know, explosive plays won them the game.
Yeah, because it seemed a number of times maybe you thought you might have had them bottled up, and then all of a sudden they squirt out, and then that's got to be a helpless feeling.
Yeah, I thought we played good defense in spurts, but, you know, we got to play a full game, and we got to finish drives. We talked about getting them to, you know, just getting them to a lot of third downs. Don't let them win the game on first and second down, and those explosive plays hurt.
What was the difference in getting 3 turnovers on defense today as opposed to not getting them in the first month of the season?
I think just some aggressive mindset. Everyone's getting more comfortable in the scheme, getting more comfortable playing with each other. And, yeah, we know turnover is going to be the difference in this game, but we got to limit the explosive plays.
You are developing into one of the leaders on this team, but we all know Daniel Jones is already a leader.
100%.
Knowing how tough he is and to see him get knocked out of the game, how much does that hurt?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, we all know how hard Daniel works. We all know how diligent he is, how hardworking he is. So seeing a leader like that going down hurts. But I thought Tyrod came in and did a great job. Offense was still in it until the end. Just defensively, we got to do a better job, put our offense in a position to, you know, help us win this game.
What's the best way to pick up the pieces after this?
Just learn from it. You know, stay encouraged, don't get discouraged. Don't be error repeaters. If there's a mistake, learn from it, fix it, and go on to the next week. You know, you got to have that mentality if you want to be successful in this league.
Bobby, thanks for your time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
That's Giants linebacker Bobby Okereke in the locker room with our Paul Dottino. He had 10 tackles and an interception, 2 passes defensed as well. Of course, you remember that Pinnock pick 6. He had his hand on the ball before Pinnock grabbed it, ran it back to the house. And then Okereke had an interception of his own in that second half. He's been such a highly touted acquisition for this Giants team in the offseason. Really a game wrecker. As a linebacker yourself, what do you see about what he brings to this defense?
Well, he brings leadership. He brings playmaking ability, and he's downhill on these run plays. You know, I think he's the standard for Giants right now, and the other linebackers and the safeties too. Whoever's playing against the run, I think they need to model what he's doing. But he also said that they play well at spurts. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. They created some big plays, but they gave up 500 yards.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say a defense played well.
524
right, thank
yards.
you, Madelyn, I appreciate that.
Sorry,
you know, but the thing is, they can make plays.
Yeah.
And if you're a bend but don't break defense, like they have been, they were like that last year. They were bend but don't break. They were good on third down. They were good in the red zone. The Giants have to figure out what are they good at. What's their identity? I think it starts with him and Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. Those 2 guys was a little quiet today, but you need those guys involved, not just Okereke, not McKinney, not just Thibodeau. You need those guys in the middle to give this defense a real identity.
Yeah, I think this defense needs a little bit of vitamin P, vitamin pass rush, because if the pass rush is there, then a lot of these man-to-man coverages aren't going to be exposed as much. Quarterback is going to be off his spot. The timing of the offense will be the opposing offense will be a little different. Their pass rush is the one thing that I felt is a little inconsistent, and I feel like if the pass rush is better, if the D-line is a little bit better, then that makes the entire defense better. And when I'm looking at this team and I see quarterbacks, I see Tua back there with so much time. You know, Thibodeau is coming around. He's starting to heat up this season we got another sack today. But we need the Giants need another pass rusher from the inside, from the outside, just to like put more pressure, because quarterbacks look very comfortable, and it's very hard when you have the speed that Miami does and the comfort that these quarterbacks have when they're playing against the Giants because of the lack of pass rush.
Absolutely. You got to get that defensive pressure leveled up. Of course, the defense has grown and improved week in and week out. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, Paul Dottino keeping busy in that locker room. He's down there with Darius Slayton. Let's send it down.
More plays for Daniel, whether it be the one to you on the sideline, the one there, and you think you guys could help more?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. You know, I think mine, I was close. I got to watch the film. I'm not sure how close I was, but, you know, I'm sure I could have tried to drag and fall. And, you know, I'm sure Darren, you know, believes that he could have came down with that. And that's all just steps we got to make and plays we got to make to help him out.
You've been here when things have struggled, you know, here over the course of your career. Do you still see the confidence and the optimism that you guys can dig out of this?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you know, we had some big plays that were there. We just didn't connect on them. But we have in the past, you know, in other years I've been here, and we still have good players, a lot of good players. Just got to get them the ball and let them make plays.
Darius is one of the other reasons for hope, knowing that some of the guys will be coming back at least shortly. You hope so?
Yeah, you know, obviously it'll be nice to get some of our guys back, hopefully this week or, you know, whenever they return, and you know, we look forward to them being back.
Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton with 2 receptions on 4 targets for 35 yards on the day, a 20-yard long, as the Giants fall to the Dolphins 31-16. Giants fans, make sure to subscribe to the Giants Podcast Network for a variety of team podcasts featuring conversations with Giants players, coaches, fans, and legends, plus NFL analysts, business professionals, influencers, and more. Available on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and Google. It's the official Giants Podcast Network. We've got much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna. We'll be back with more after this. Hey, Giants fans, check out the Eli Manning Show, presented by Panini Prism Trading Cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel to catch all of the new shows. It's the Eli Manning Show. Subscribe today. Of course, the most recent episode, in case you missed it, Sean, Eli, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the remote control car race. You want to tune into the Giants YouTube channel to see who won this one. We got a dump truck in the mix. We got a lot of options over here. Look at this, and even a little Eli Manning. So many options, so much fun out there. Eli Manning, Sean O'Hara, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Check it out on the Giants YouTube channel. Of course, a tough loss today, but we look ahead to next week, Week 6. The Giants are back on primetime for Sunday Night Football at Buffalo. Of course, Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, their return to Buffalo, the first time at the Bills as head coach of the New York Football Giants for head coach Brian Daboll. A lot of storylines to follow in this game. Of course, the Bills coming off of a loss to the Jaguars in London earlier this morning. What are you looking for in Week 6, Casillas?
Some type of improvement. You know, I think defensively we saw them take a step forward today. There was an opportunistic defense out there. The play where Xavier McKinney ran down Tyreek Hill, that was the effort that I feel like hasn't really been showing itself, and that was the same drive that they had the 102-yard interception. So that was a big tackle right there, and they need plays like that, not just on the defense, but offensively as well. And I think, look, plays like that with the 102-yard interception, that play's supposed to spark not just the defense, but the offense as well. And I think if you keep hitting it, you keep doing it, I think you're going to start seeing the offense wake up and come alive a little bit.
Well, and speaking of the offense, too, of course, the storyline we'll be monitoring this week is Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. He did leave today's game with a neck injury. He said he's having tests done. Will remain to be seen what his status will be. But if he can't go, of course, it would be Tyrod Taylor's return to Buffalo.
Yeah, it'd be Tyrod Taylor's, but also another injury that might be coming back to is Saquon Barkley. See if he's going to be able to come back. But I also want to see some of these young receivers. I want to see Jalen Hyatt get an opportunity out there. I feel like there's enough talent on this team that if they find a way to kind of even out this offense in terms of spreading the ball around, it was a big step forward today with Waller, getting him 11 targets. There just need to be more plays. There need to be more, running the ball needs to be something that is part of this offense. I feel like there's so much out there. There's so much possibility with this team when we're just not seeing it, and that's what's making it so frustrating.
The offensive line has to take a step forward.
Absolutely.
You know,
so many injuries.
Right, it's so many injuries. The Giants were ravished pretty early with Andrew Thomas going down early in the season, and then multiple injuries happened today. There was a carousel going on, but they have to find some type of continuity to protect whoever's playing quarterback next week.
Protect the quarterback, keep the quarterback upright. This is going to be the Giants' second Sunday night football game of the season, their fourth primetime game in the first 6 weeks of the season, more than any other team in the NFL. We'll see how they fare against the Bills on Sunday Night Football, and of course, we'll be back with more Giants Postgame Live presented by Moderna right after. Thanks for tuning in.